Welcome back to Horns Up, your one-stop podcast for Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl, as we're just 5 days away from Super Bowl 56, where the Los Angeles Rams will be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals for the whole thing, man, the whole title, the whole count caboodle, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, Brian, I'm kind of circling social media today, and the narrative, according to the sports writer, is that, well, the Bengals got house money. The pressure's all on the Rams. Stafford's Hall of Fame bid is on here. McVay is on the line. His credibility as a coach. Aaron Donald's legacy. Jalen Ramsey. The Rams pushed all their picks in the middle of the pile. They sacrificed everything here. The city of Los Angeles, the new stadium. The pressure's on the Rams. While the Bengals come in with Cool Joe with his swag, right? And they're coming in with no pressure at all. They're playing with house money. It doesn't matter if they win or lose. It's house money, Brian. What are your thoughts, my friend?
That is a complete and utter line of BS. House money. No pressure. Are you kidding me? You make it to the Super Bowl. It's one and done. Everybody feels pressure. It doesn't matter who you are. House money. There's no such term. And the funny thing is, I've only heard one guy so far come out and say, that's a joke. And I believe that was Nate Burleson. He came out and basically said, that's just a line of BS. So you make it to the Super Bowl, everybody feels pressure. Every player.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was telling you. Dan Marino got there, year 2? Did he ever get back?
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
No. Yeah, and Kurt Warner came out and really lectured Stephen A. Smith on that comment today, saying, you've never played the game. There's no such thing as house money. It's the biggest, it's the granddaddy of them all, and everybody feels the pressure because you may never get back there, just like you said, Brian.
Yeah, never get back. I mean, we all know it's difficult. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, Brett Favre's got one. Aaron Rodgers has got one. I mean, these guys are supposed to be they are Hall of Famers, but yet They only have one. I mean, we can go down the list of great quarterbacks through time. No Super Bowl championships. I mean, It's just part of the game. It's difficult to get to the Super Bowl. Plain and simple.
Yep. What about
go ahead.
What about this narrative with Joe Burrow and the swag that he brings to Super Bowl 56? They say, man, this guy, he doesn't beat you with skill necessarily. He's got the heart of Rocky Balboa. You can sack him 8 times, 9 times, 10 times. He's still going to get up and make the plays because he's got heart, man. This guy keeps coming after you. He'll never quit. His players on his team believe in him. I mean, this is, again, man, Rocky Balboa. He just keeps getting up, man. Coming out. Remember Drago versus Rocky in Rocky 4? He got knocked down 3 and 4 times, and Rocky kept coming. This is what I'm hearing about Joe Burrow.
Okay, I get it. The guys made it to the Super Bowl, but come on, he's far from flawless. He's kept his team in the game enough to win the game at the end. But let's be real, he's had all kinds of mistakes leading up to this game. KC, he threw a pick in the 4th quarter. The following series, as he's rolling out, he almost throws another pick. He throws it to a linebacker on the sideline. There isn't another Cincinnati receiver in the area. The guy drops it. I mean, to tell me that this guy's flawless, the way they talk about this guy right now, and yes, we're Ram fans and we're a little biased, but so like the text I sent you today, I'm watching the NFL Network. And all it is Joe Cool, Joe this, Joe that. And then it goes to let's talk about Matt Stafford. And it is the wording on the screen says, will Matt Stafford continually to not make the mistake? It isn't Stafford threw the deep ball and beat Tampa Bay at the end, even though he had nothing to do with the comeback. He's not the one that had the fumbles.
Yep.
And then he turns around and just Matty Ice, delivers 2 great passes. Rams win the game. Down by 13 to arguably the hottest defense in the NFL going into the Super Bowl is the Niners. We're down 13. Who brings them back? Stafford. They don't talk about that. That's not even a part of the media agenda at all at this point. And if you're a Rams fan, you're really just kind of getting sick and tired of it. And if we're getting sick and tired of it, I can only imagine the locker room, if they're watching any of this, how pissed off they've got to be getting, because I know I'm sick of it. They've got to be even more sick of it, because the media is pushing it so hard at this point that I'm just tired of it. I mean, literally want to just stop watching whatever, but I can't help myself. You just keep turning it on.
Yeah, I think this is what happens when you got 2 weeks to analyze one game. The most cockamamie theories come out, and these guys actually get paid to come up with these cockamamie theories. It's amazing to me.
I don't get it. Don't get it.
The narrative I heard today was, okay. If it comes down to Stafford throwing 2 interceptions or Burrow's getting sacked 9 times by the Rams defensive line, who would you rather take? Oh, interceptions, turnovers decide Super Bowl. I'd rather, I think that favors the Bengals. Joe Burrow's getting sacked 9 times. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, listen, he got sacked 9 times against a big defensive front against Tennessee. But let's be honest, the Tennessee offense was nothing to be desired by anybody. And at the end of the day, Tannehill threw the game away with the bad interception, just like Mahomes did in the conference title.
You go back and watch that game, and you know me, I'm a big film study guy.
Yeah.
So I've gone back and I've done all the studying on that. Tennessee had so many opportunities early in that game. Brown beats their secondary over the top. Tannehill flat out misses them, and that's in the first quarter. They have they lose the running back in coverage as Tannehill is kind of in the pocket. The fullback drops the ball. I mean, it wasn't so much the Bengals beat the Titans. You really watch the game. The Titans beat the Titans.
Yeah.
Bad penalties. Missed opportunities. I mean, you rewatch that game and you're like, wait, are you kidding me? How are the Bengals even in this game?
But what about the great second half against the Chiefs? You got to give it up, right?
I mean, you can give it up because, they came back, but what was it, 21-10 at half? I mean, they're only down 11.
Yeah.
They're not even down at the 13 that the Rams were. But yet it's because they were down 21-0. It's some, big deal, which it is. I mean, you come back 21-0. But if you look at that second half, again, it was more missed opportunities by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You watch the Chiefs game, and Chiefs have the ball. They run it on first down. And they ran a lot on first down in the second half. And almost every single time, they were in 2nd and 6 or shorter. But they never ran the ball on second down. Not one. It was like basically not once. And because of that, they wound up in 3rd and 6. Mahomes gets sacked. Just dumb things happen. And that's when, if you pay attention to the game film, every second down is like they knew. Bengals knew that KC, they're not going to run it again. They ran on first down. They got 4, 5, 6 yards on us. Yeah. I know they're throwing the ball. Let's go. This great drop 8 in coverage, only rush 3 defense that shut the Chiefs down. God, you watch that film again, guys are wide open, even with 8 and dropping. But why never run the ball? 2nd down and 4, you never ran the ball. I mean, some of the things you watch on the game film is a guy that, like I said, likes watching film. Both the Titans and the Chiefs, they, especially offensively, they left a lot of plays on the field. So it's a little frustrating as a Rams fan when you come in and they're ripping on Stafford, but yet they're not actually pointing to things that really happened in these games. They're just kind of pointing at certain things that worked for the Bengals, but never at the things that they had issues with.
Yeah, I think the knock on Andy Reid, he's a great coach, but I think the knock on him has always been he tends to abandon the run a lot, Andy Reid. And it's one of his weaknesses, and I think that's what we saw in the second half of the Kansas City. And again, I'm not trying to take away the great comeback by the Bengals. I'm just trying to keep everything in context here, right? I think the other factor is, I know Spagnuolo got that Chiefs defense playing better second half of the year, but that's never been a great defense either in Kansas City. Let's be honest here.
No, they had a good stretch. They had like a 4 or 5 game stretch in the middle of the season. where they played really good football. But even going into the playoffs, the last 3 games, I believe, going into the playoffs, they were back to giving up like 450 yards of offense, 30 points a game. They were not playing well going into the postseason. Now they've pulled out some games and they've of course won, so that helps solve a lot of issues. But again, you're like the Bengals. I mean, if they only put up that many points on a team that's giving up 30 points a game.
Yeah, and I think the Rams defense is peaking right now. The Rams are giving up 18 points per game in the 3 playoff games. And one of those games was all the fumbles that set up Brady inside, Rams territory, because they had Tampa Bay at 3 points at halftime. 3 points. And then the turnovers set Tom Brady up to score the 27 that they did. This defense for the Rams is red hot right now.
Yeah. We talk about the Rams defense, and it all starts, and we all know if you get to the postseason, everything starts with stopping the run. You do that first. You don't allow teams to run the ball on you. And that's complete opposite right now from what we're seeing from Cincinnati. The Rams against Buccaneers, as well as the Niners, which, again, everybody went into the Niners game, bully ball. They beat us 6 times in a row. They can't stop the Niners running game. Well, the Niners ran for 50 yards.
Yeah.
They didn't run the ball. We shut down the run game. We were aggressive. The defense has changed through the playoffs. We're not just sitting back in this deep zone coverage, cover 4 scheme. And we've been more aggressive. We're getting more guys in a box. You're seeing a lot more, different stunts and aggressive play calling by Raheem Morris. Yeah. So it has changed through the playoffs. But again, first and foremost, you got to stop the run. And if you look at what the Rams have done through the playoffs, they've stopped the run. They've shut down good running teams.
Okay,
running team.
Well, yeah, the Rams are tightening up their defense. They're not playing that soft zone as much before. They're shifting it up. What we do know from the scouting report is that Joe Burrow likes to swing the ball down the field. I think something like, 18 of his touchdown passes have been from like 20 yards or more or something like that. Are we setting ourselves up here for the big play, particularly to the rookie over there for possibly getting beat over the top?
So, yeah, I mean, this is where we'll see on the film when it comes to Burrow. If you watch the game film, he's very much a lot like Jared Goff was for our Super Bowl run. He's doing a lot of one read, dump to the running back stuff. He's not going through progressions. He never gets to his second receiver, and he never gets all the way across the field. It is I want to get, and a lot of that is because you can see he doesn't trust his O-line either. He's being told, like, you have one read, and he's making good reads with that. The short ball is there. They're doing a great job of throwing their little 5 to 7 yard curl routes. And if it's not there, they're not keeping Mixon in the block, okay, or P. Ryan. It's when they're in the game, they are releasing. So it's one read. If I don't like it, I dump to the back. Well, I mean, that's the same thing Goff did with Gurley when he had like that 80 reception season that year.
That's right.
I mean, it was one read, drop the ball. And that's what we've seen through Burrow through the last few games of the play.
Isn't that pretty much what Garoppolo did against the Rams this year? One read in between the numbers and then dump it to the back.
Yeah, that's what he's always done. And that's what's always gotten us in trouble, because the Rams in their cover 4 scheme tend to give away that little 5 yard play. The little curl routes are always open. The middle of the field tends to be open, except for these last few weeks. They like I said, they've been more aggressive. They're not really giving up those as much. And we saw it last week with Nick Scott on the big hit with Debo. That play during the season was usually a catch and without a big hit happening. Well, Nick Scott blows him up because he comes downhill hard, and the Rams are being a little more aggressive. Now, when you ask me, could that lead to big plays? Yeah, of course. Anytime you've got your free safety who's playing deep, they're coming up and being a little more aggressive. And that is the one thing that does scare me also in the game is you've seen Joe Burrow has he throws a really good fade route. He always has. He was always a good deep ball thrower in LSU. That season that, they won the championship. And you're seeing it in the last few games. Again, though, that's a one-read pass. I know I've got man coverage out here. I'm going to throw the fade, or I'm going to attempt to throw the back shoulder. And it gets the ball out of my hand. It's a 3-step throw the ball. So that does make me nervous. Not so much against Jalen Ramsey, but against Darius Williams, because he's not the biggest corner. And if he gets matched up with T. Higgins or even Jamar Chase, because Chase has got some size to him.
Yeah.
He's not tall, but he's a stocky, athletic receiver.
Okay.
Very physical. So yeah, I mean that play makes me nervous. But
Okay.
those the percentages aren't there for you.
Right.
And if the Rams, I'm guaranteed they see what I see on film. So I know those corners are going to be wrapping the crap out of getting their head around and then trying to make a play on the ball. So
yeah. Okay, so this is what I see, okay? And I think we probably got a little preview of this last year and this year when we played Green Bay. Now, I was saying this whole playoff series, and I saw the way the brackets, after the Rams lost the last game of the year, 49ers, and then you had a situation, I forgot who played the Monday night game, whatever it was, and the brackets wound up being that the Rams would have to go to the Cardinals, then Tampa Bay if they won, and then it was going to come down to either going into Green Bay or playing the 49ers at home. I said I love the matchup against the Cardinals because the Cardinals were fading. I've been saying for 2 years the Rams had the Tampa Bay Bucks number. They were built to beat Tampa Bay because of the way Bruce Arians coaches. I said the problem is going to be if we got to go into Green Bay. Now, this is what I see. And I got a feeling, I haven't watched too much Cincinnati Bengals this year, but because again you got a McVay protege essentially in Green Bay, and now a McVay protege in Cincinnati. The way the Packers have beat the Rams the last couple of years is they have not let their pass rush really be effective. They've done it with short slants, screen passes, quick passes. I guess, we're all focused here on the pass rush of the Rams against one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the league. What happens here? Do we see more of a Packer-style short pass game, which would limit their ability to throw down the field? But it seems to me if they're going to allow the receivers to run deep down the field for these big plays, the Rams pass rush is going to get there. So it's this chess match. Do we see kind of that Packers approach to the Rams defense, or do we see them try actually to block the Rams front four and throw the ball down the field?
No, from what they've shown, and they did it against Tennessee, and they definitely did it against Kansas City after giving the 9 sacks. I think they threw about 4 or 5 screen passes against Kansas City. A lot of dump offs versus Kansas City. Just you can see that they're not trying to keep the ball in Burrow's hand. It's all 5 to 7 yard curl routes, out routes. They're not trying to throw in the fade routes. They're not trying to throw the home run ball 50 yards downfield. That's just not a part of what their game plan is right now. But again, that's where I get nervous because, like you said, Green Bay gets us like that. The Niners have gotten us like that, and a lot of it was during the season. And during the season, you play a lot more safe coverages. You don't really, It's not a one and done game to where you're lining up. Now we talk about the Rams' pressure, and you look at KC came with 4. They lined up their 4, and we all know the one place that the Bengals are having the hardest issue with right now is number 77, the right guard, Adunleye. He's just getting his butt kicked. He had Jones last week, who was pushed him into the quarterback's face.
Right.
Jeffrey Simmons the week before just dominated him. But there's a difference in style between the Kansas City and also the Titans. The Titans do a lot of stuff that's very similar to the Rams. The Rams will line up 5 on the D line, and they will show pressure. Their goal is to basically get you to go man-to-man on the offensive line with their D line, or at least show that look. And the Titans did that. And because of that, they went one-on-one a lot. And you saw the Bengals had a hard time with it.
Right.
Now you're going to give Raheem Morris a couple weeks in the secondary, which is now a very veteran secondary with the addition of Weddle, who's now calling the defense.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So, you've got a very vet secondary playing through these next 2 weeks. And from what you saw during Tennessee, what they did a lot too is that they'd get up to the line of scrimmage with 6. They'd show blitzes. They'd drop out late. They did some late things to Burrow that made him second guess what he was seeing. And I could see the Rams doing that quite a bit, not just sitting in one place. We're in our zone. You know what we're doing. If they do anything similar to the Titans, I don't know how they block us. because they've shown that they can't block when there's that much pressure. And the
Right.
Rams will bring 5 quite a bit. Now, with that 5, we all get nervous about, giving up the short ball and Debo last week against us. And Jamar Chase has shown that ability. But at the same time, confusion is still key. And I mean, we know what happened to Jared Goff in that season where he took the Super Bowl against the Patriots. They had 2 weeks and they put in all these weird coverages. They admit to it. Like, we did stuff no one's ever seen us do.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we're going to see something from a veteran defense this week that coverage wise and rolling to certain things, especially with the Bengals showing that they are basically trying to get the ball out of Burrow's hand and saying, we're not going to let you get to him. We're going to get it out of his hand, make the tackle. We'll take our 4 or 5.
Right. Well, okay. I think the one liability as Ram fans we've all noticed is Reader on the pass coverage.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've been studying some film too, and what I'm noticing is that Raheem Morris is actually rushing Reader more than dropping him back to pass coverage, and the Rams have been bringing 5. If you remember the interception in the end zone by Kyler Murray, that was Reader that hit him from behind. I believe on that last play against the 49ers where Donald forced the interception, I believe Reader rushed was the 5th, I believe. But my point is, I've been watching tapes. I don't think Raheem Morris wants Reader out there as a liability. Listen, I love Reader's heart. I love how hard he plays. But his cover skills are less than desired. My question is, considering Ernest Jones has been out now for a month and a half roughly, are we going to see Ernest Jones, or do we continue to go with the guy that's been there with Reader at linebacker?
I got a feeling we're going to be with Reader. I mean, I agree with you. They're not just using Reader and letting him sit back in the middle. They're doing a lot more things with him, especially blitzing him, because he is a liability in coverage. Teams like the Packers, Aaron Rodgers picks on him. He literally takes those breaking routes. He loves throwing the option route to Jones against us. Reader is a liability in coverage. Reader's eyes are not that good. And it makes me nervous in this game because if they do release the running backs as much as they have been, then if Reader's not seeing his key leaving the box and understanding where he's got his eyes need to go, then we're giving Mixon a chance to catch balls in space and run. And that's just a recipe for disaster for this defense if we can allow those things to happen. If we can allow, if Mixon catches 7-8 balls on us and gets 60, 70 yards, that's not going to be good.
No, it's not.
And so again, we go back to the running game. Cincinnati does a lot of things very similar to us, but they show their hand. I mean, you go through the playoffs, and if Burrow's under center, then they're predominantly running team. They don't do the play action stuff that we do very often. And I think part of that is also the idea that Burrow is still not very functional at turning his head away from coverage in play action.
I see.
And then finding the right reads. I don't think Taylor trusts him to do that. So you don't see him do that. He even on his play action passes, it's just a drop down to like hand the ball, but his head's still downfield. So they don't do like our bootlegs very much, and they don't seem to trust it. And I think a big part of that is Burrow just doesn't see the field well yet enough. I mean, again, second year in the league, you're going to have those issues. So when you see Burrow under center, it's their zone read plays. That's what they like. So they also throw the other run play, which they killed the Raiders with, was a toss sweep. The Titans shut it down. And they really didn't win much against the Bengals. So they have their few plays, but it's not like they have like this huge amount of run plays that you see on film. It's a lot of inside-outside zone. They run the GT counter out of shotgun, and then you get that toss sweep. Other than that, they don't really do a whole lot running the ball. And I think case in point, I mean, you've seen like they haven't been a great running team through the playoffs. They really, it's not like, but they've given up all kinds of running.
Let's talk about the Bengals defense for a second, okay? I think if we
Overrated.
and that's my question. That's my question. I think if we look back at Super Bowl 53, I think one of the big problems in that game was the fact that the Patriots were able to stop the Rams running game at the line of scrimmage with 5 and 6 guys, okay? And Rams had trouble running the ball up until that big run by Gurley in the fourth, and they call the BS holding call, of course. We all remember that, but whatever. My question is here is, I mean, they dropped 8 guys back in coverage against Patrick Mahomes because, Andy Reid, like I said earlier, has a tendency to go away from the running game. I don't think McVay has that tendency. I think we've seen a lot more passing the last 2 games against Tampa Bay and 49ers because they could stop the run, both teams, at the line of scrimmage, right? My question, though, is can the Bengals stop the Rams running game with 5 and 6 guys up front, all right? And if they can't, what does that mean for the rest of the game? Does McVay just pound it down their throats like we saw with the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, McVay has proven, especially in playoff games, that if you let him run the ball, I mean, we ran for 250 yards versus Dallas. That's Super Bowl year.
That's right.
We ran the ball over Arizona. Last year, we ran it all over Seattle. When it comes time, when the game's going on, McVay's shown, like, I'll run. If you can't stop my running game, I'm going to keep pounding you. Mm-hmm. And then he'll throw in the play action. Now, from what I've seen out of the Bengals defense when it comes to stopping play action, is they are terrible. They lose guys in coverage. They give up big plays. They don't get pressure. It's like the whole front 7 stops. They play the Titans, and the Titans utilized a bit of, the under center play action like the Rams do. And they hit on 2 40-yard pass plays to A.J. Brown, and they just missed on probably would have been a 60-yard touchdown in the first quarter. All 3 of those were on play action. Now, Kansas City ran for 139 yards against them. When the Kansas City ran the shotgun, when they like to run that shotgun, a little bit of light play action, it was wide open. Like, guys were running free. And then not only that, the quarterbacks have had all day in play action. Once the play action is done and the quarterback sets up in the pocket, you can count up to 5 seconds, 6 seconds. We saw, with them dropping 8. But even before that, in the first half, like any kind of play action, it was a joke. Especially versus the Titans. Mm-hmm. The Titans, they were so worried about the run game, which, Henry was playing again, that they couldn't stop. They really didn't stop the run game, especially as the second half wore on, which is usually what happens when defenses start getting a little more gassed. And in the play action game, it was wide open. It just Tannehill missed some wide open guys. Right. Again, but they still hit on big plays. It wasn't like he wasn't available. And you see Bates. Bates got that. He made a great play on that opening play action pass against Tannehill and the Titans. Drove it from deep. But then after that, he's basically the one that got beat on the 2 post routes and was stuck with it on his heels when Brown ran by him later in the first quarter. That should have been a touchdown. Mm-hmm. So they don't put the pressure on. I know they got some sacks, and Hendrickson's got, 14 on the season. But a lot of those sacks, I think it's more like keeping guys in the pocket and getting time. He really reminds me, if you're a Rams fan, you're a diehard from back, especially even the St. Louis days. He reminds me a lot of Grant Wistrom. Hard-nosed guy, he was always around 12, 13 sacks every season, never made a Pro Bowl because, he wasn't flashy, and Hendrickson's the same thing. He's not flashy. He's just a hard-nosed player.
Yeah.
But because of that, a lot of the sacks come from have the quarterback holding the ball.
Do you think they're going to switch him to Havenstein's side rather than Whitworth?
No, I don't think they will. Hubbard's done a good enough job that I don't think they will.
Okay. You think Whitworth can neutralize Henderson?
I think Whitworth, Whitworth's now going to get 2 more weeks of healing time, which for an old vet like this guy, you give him 2 weeks to prepare, get himself squared away physically a little bit more. Yeah, Whitworth, he's a veteran, and you know what he is. He's still one of the best pass blocking.
I think he finished number 1 for left tackles, I believe, on the year.
So so can he handle Hendrickson? Yeah, again, Hendricks. If you look at the Rams tackles, they usually have issues with more guys like T.J. Watt, your speed rushers.
Yeah,
your outside linebacker types.
Your big guys in the middle. That's where they have problems with that Fletcher Cox. They always have problems with, right?
Yes.
They have some issues with Dominique Sue against Tampa Bay, right? Oh, yeah. Vita Vea. That's where they don't have trouble with those outside edge guys generally. I mean, sometimes they'll get there. Don't get me wrong. So
but those guys are usually the fast. Those are the fast switch guys.
yes.
Havenstein has a hard time with your fast twitch outside linebackers.
Yeah.
Because he's 6'9", he's a big dude. Those littler guys are hard to. Well, Hubbard's not a little guy. He's not made of that mold. He's made of a mold that you actually Havenstein can actually get his big body in front of and stop him. I mean, Havenstein had this best game of the playoffs for an O lineman for the Rams last week, going against Bosa. So the guy's playing really up to par right now.
Okay. So let's talk about the kicking game here. Okay, McPherson, guys on fire, all rolled right now, hitting everything. They crossed the 50-yard line. The kid's making field goals, right? Yep. And that's fine, and that's something to be worried about. But like I said, if the Rams put touchdowns on the board, you eliminate McPherson. Let's be honest, okay? Yep. That's number one. Number two, are you worried as I am about Matt Gay? No. There seems to be something not right about him lately. Now, he made 2 big kicks, huge kicks, against the 49ers in the fourth quarter. Give him credit there. You get the sense he's hurt and we're not being led on?
You could say that, but it's only from distance. I mean, last week, though, I saw the depth in this kickoff start to come back. Again, the week before when they said he was injured when we played, the Bucks.
Yeah.
Where he might have got injured preseason. You notice his kickoffs weren't as deep. Last week, you started to see the kickoffs come deep. Now he's missed a couple 50-yarders, which every kicker can go through little periods.
He came up short on the 47-yarder in Tampa Bay, and then the 54-yarder in the conference final. Now, I guess
that was wide. That one he missed wide.
It was wide, and so if McVay had the confidence to kick that field goal there, then he had to feel fairly decent about Gay taking that kick. If he would know if he was hurt. I'm just sensing. I'm hoping. Everybody's giving the kicking edge to Cincinnati here right now, but I think we forget that Matt Gay made the Pro Bowl this year. He's been phenomenal for us.
Well, it's because McPherson's the rookie hot kicker. I mean, it's no different than the Burrow talk. I mean, when you're the guy making all the field goals, but I mean, is it really that good of a thing where your leading scorer in the playoffs is your kicker? I mean, it shows again like that is Burrow ready for the big stage? Because he's not very good in the red zone. I mean, it's all one. If Mix is not getting the touchdown run, his main passes, if it's not a curl route to a tight end in the middle, it's all fade routes.
Right.
Everything's a fade route that the Bengals are running, which, I mean, there's got to be more in your package than just that. Because, again, I know the Rams this week. I mean, I've seen so many fade routes through the playoffs by the Bengals. I know those corners are working the hell out of getting their head around and trying to make a play on the ball this week.
Okay.
And if corners are ready for this, which I'm pretty sure they will be, there's a good chance that we could get an interception in the red zone this week. Just due to that, just knowing what the Bengals are trying to get accomplished.
Sure.
But again, that shows the inexperience of Burrow. If you can't score touchdowns in the red zone, that's on the quarterback.
Okay. And so, second to last question of the night for you. The game's at SoFi. Is it a real home field advantage for the Rams? The tickets are dispersed in a way where everybody gets a crack at them. I'm sure we're going to see a strong Cincinnati contingency. I don't think it'll probably be anything like the 49ers or the Cowboys or the Packers. Are they going to have a home field advantage? Is 70% of that crowd going to be Rams fans whipping it up? Or is it going to be more of a mixed crowd, a curious, indifferent crowd? What do you expect?
No, I expect a heavy Rams crowd. I mean, we all know there's money here in LA.
Yeah.
I mean, and they always go to the big events. Let's be real. I mean, that's Hollywood. That's what we do. We're LA. We go to the big events. I mean, we're LA, and not to mention the halftime show.
Yeah,
I mean, we're probably getting football fans. I want to see the halftime show, but no, it'll be 75-25. It might even be even worse. I mean, because let's be real. The Bengals don't have a fan base outside of Cincinnati.
Yeah,
you get your occasional fan here and there. I mean, that's always the way it is. and that's a long ways to try and travel. And at this time of
Expensive,
year,
expensive for
and
middle class
expensive.
part of the country.
Yeah, and it's not
Yeah,
like they were saving up since last year thinking this might happen.
yeah, yeah. I know, I know.
So yeah, I don't expect to see very many Bengal fans in the stands. I expect this to be heavy blue and yellow, and we should be loud enough to where we get into Burrow. And but I mean, again, he's been playing on the road in Tennessee and KC, which are very two loud places to play.
Yeah, they are. They are.
But we've heard that if we get a heavy crowd, that
That place is
SoFi is
phenomenal.
actually pretty loud. SoFi
Yeah.
can really get rocking.
Yeah.
So it is a home field advantage
Okay.
that I can see playing out, especially get to the fourth quarter and we're winning and they've got to throw the ball. If we get to that kind of position, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for the Bengals to pull themselves out of a hole if that comes down to it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just the familiarity that the Rams have, the locker room, and even the field for that matter. They've played on there, they practice on there. I think it is a real home field advantage. I think they'll have the crowd. I agree with you just because it's LA, right? Everybody who's everybody in LA wants to be part of this thing. And everybody, we know how fickle LA fans can be oftentimes. Well, if this is a chance for them to jump on a bandwagon and party, LA fans are more than willing to do that,
Definitely. Totally agree.
Yeah. So, okay. Final question tonight. Give me your score. Give me your prediction, Brian.
I think it's going to be 34-21.
34-21. Okay.
Maybe 34-24 with a couple field goals. I don't think we're going to shut the Bengals down. I think they're going to be able to move the ball a little bit. I mean, everybody does. I mean, at this point in the year, to a certain extent. I just offensively, we've been so close to being on the verge of just flat out going after. Now, the Niner game, every division opponent plays you tough.
They know you're the best.
They know
you're the best. Yeah.
So when you go back to that Tampa game and you see the score and you're like, that score could have been easily at one point like 40-14. We dominated that game. We moved the ball at will. We just put the ball on the ground in a few inopportune times. So I could easily see this game if we get a lead, and that's a big if we get a lead in this game and we allow the front 4 or 5 to get really aggressive, and that's where we will get our turnovers. That's where we'll get on all over Burrow. And I could see us getting some short fields in this game and doing some things with him. I personally, I know, and I'm a little biased, and I know everybody's talking up the Bengals defense, and they've been opportunistic, but they don't match up well with us. You can go down the line again. I think we're on the ball. I don't think their D tackles and linebackers are all that special. They're very average.
Yeah.
And then I got it. I mean, Cooper Kupp, you're never going to completely stop him. OBJ, if you were going to pick a guy who's going to, I'm going to bet all his overs when it comes to the prop bets when I head to Vegas this weekend. And the main reason why is because as an ex-receiver, the Bengals don't do a good job one-on-one out there. And I don't see how, because Eli Apple and Aduzie, they both like to bail coverage. I think we're going to see a lot of in routes, a lot of the quick passing game on the outside to OBJ one-on-one, as well as normal stuff from Kupp.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the play action game in itself, we might get that 50, 60-yard bomb to Jefferson that we tend to hit against teams that start to bite up on our play action, which, again, the Bengals have shown. So, yeah, I can see us winning this game, something maybe even 34-17. I'll give them, 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
I'm calling Rams 31-17 in this one. I just think the Rams defense is playing phenomenal right now. I know Brady didn't have all of his weapons, but they effectively shut him down apart from those fumbles. Let's be honest. We shut down Garoppolo. We stuffed Kyler Murray. And this goes even all the way back to the Baltimore game. I know they had the backup Huntley, but he's a good backup over there. The Rams defense is just rolling right now. And what you see is Von Miller getting his rush on. Von Miller playing huge right now, finding his own on that defense. And that's why I said it was big when they got Von Miller, because now you could double team Donald. That means Floyd and Miller get to meet at the quarterback. That's all that means, to be honest with you. And we've seen that already. We saw that in the Tampa Bay game. So I'm predicting 31-17. My final word here is Condolences to the family of Rams great wide receiver Billy Waddy passed away, I believe, a week or two ago. I just read that the other day. I didn't even know about it. And I remember Billy Waddy as a kid was one of my favorite players. Didn't have anything huge statistically, but he played in that big and started in Super Bowl 14, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I just want to give out my condolences. Brian, my friend, thank you for joining me. Do you expect 3 hours of hell watching that game?
Yes, but I expect to be celebrating at the end, so I'll be good.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right. I'm a guy I gotta see it to believe it. I think the Rams are better. I'm predicting they win, but I don't. Rams Super Bowls, all 4 of them previously have all been weird and strange. None of those 4 have gone to script. I'm hoping this one does actually, which is the Rams being favorites.
Depends on who you talk to. I mean, right now all the media heads are all over the Bengals and Joe
I know.
Burrow. Oh, I'm so sick of that. Just tired of it.
Hey, they got to give us a narrative. They got to give us a story right now. So there you go. And by the way, Matthew Stafford's Hall of Fame credentials all come down to this game, by the way, according to the media.
According to the media, which, I mean, why not? Hey, he wins it. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
In the Hall of Fame. As a Ram.
All right, Brian, my friend. Sunday.
All right.
Another Super Bowl number 5 for the Rams.
Let's win this.
Up. I want to thank my friend Brian for joining me. This is Frank signing up for Horns Up, your number 1 stop, your number 1 LA Rams podcast. Please subscribe. Talk to you later. Good night, everybody.
Good night.